Welcome to Hearts and Stripes, your one-stop shop for all things military marriage. I hope our discussions and interviews equip you with the tools to start or grow a beautiful marriage as we address the benefits and challenges of marriage. I believe life's most precious moments are worth celebrating, so I'll help you design your marriage blueprint in alignment with your core values. Thank you for joining us, and remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Let's do this. So hello, everyone. This is Bree Carroll, your host of Hearts and Stripes, and you are in for a treat. We are here talking again with my phenomenal co-host for this episode, Jennifer Brantley of the Discarded podcast, and we are going to break down one of the past episodes from season 1 of Hearts and Stripes. And today we're going to talk all about episode 20, Celebrate and Marriage Blueprint. Now, y'all, this was a very personal episode for me. I had the opportunity and really wanted to give you guys a background of where I was coming from, what my experiences were, and just share my story. One, so that people did not feel like they were by themselves if they had similar experiences, but also to hopefully give you guys some hope and a framework as to how you can have a successful relationship. And I'll share really briefly, Jennifer, one of the things that when I'm speaking and doing, different types of talks, one of the things that I love to put last when I'm introducing myself, I'll say I'm an engineer and I'm the owner of B. Carroll Events and all these years of experiences. But one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I will share last that I have had 6 years of being happily married. Let me say it again. 6 consecutive years of being happily married. And oftentimes I feel like people can try to discourage you because because of your youth. Mm-hmm. and say, oh, you ain't have enough years in the game. And then I'm looking like, but I had 6 consecutive years happy, right? And it's because, and I don't say that to boast, but I say that to say that 1, it's possible, and two, it takes work. It takes being intentional. So what were your thoughts on episode 20, the marriage blueprint, and just hearing the transparency that I tried to share in my story?
Well, first of all, let me say, I listened to the episode in my car. I think I was driving home, and I have to say it. I started crying. Because I have to say it. I really did. I started crying because your story is such a touching one. And the fact that you were vulnerable and share, what you went through before you got to the 6 consecutive years, before you found the right person. Right. There are so many people out there who definitely need to hear that. And so that absolutely stuck with me. And I love the vulnerability. And just, making it plain that, yeah, you are going to go through some frogs before you get to, I don't want to say the prince, but before you get to the one who is meant for you. Mm-hmm. And I think going through that makes us better appreciate, or going through whatever with previous relationships makes us appreciate more who we end up with and where we end up. So that definitely stuck with me. And then your story about what's the name of the restaurant again? I heard
Cookout. Yes.
Cookout.
Shout out to Cookout. This is not an advertisement, but if you are in areas that has Cookout, please go on and get a milkshake for me and get a Cookout tray for me. Do it for me.
Well, I heard it and I was like, ooh, I would love some Cookout, because we had, Atlanta, I was like, that sounds so good. I'm in England, they don't have good food, but it was how you, drew an analogy between the story of you and your 5 friends, jumping into this stranger's car because you want some cookout in college, and not really having a blueprint for how you're going to get there, how you're going to pay
about that.
Once you got there, and then drawing in similarities between that and marriage. And so that the end game of what you want, what type of marriage you want, that you want this ever after, that you want it to be forever and permanent. but having to have a plan in place for how you will get there and what it will ultimately look like.
Absolutely. And
So yeah.
I think that episode, I was really just trying to share the method. It is a my proprietary method that I developed, and it's one that I use when I do marriage coaching. And I think oftentimes it can be applied in different ways, but just to break it down for everyone, please go back and listen to episode 20 and you'll hear the full story and the breakdown. But to recap quickly, I call it my marriage bridge blueprint, but simply put, it's the CARE method. CARE, careful consideration, assess the foundation, reinforce the structure, and engage in trust. And in that episode, I talk about careful consideration. And oftentimes I feel like we do not assess the cost of how we can get to point A to point B. And specifically, I'm talking about in a marriage relationship, we do not assess the cost. And I feel like my husband and I have kind of went back. We continue to do this method throughout our marriage of, for example, assessing the cost. Well, we want to live a certain lifestyle. And I always talk about with my clients, talking about getting that envision in mind. And for me, I am gray haired, long and flowing on a beach. My children are good and taken care of. They have an inheritance for themselves and for their children. I am drinking some adult beverage out of a coconut or pineapple. Amen. And the sun is shining and we are completely debt free. We are in a position of wealth and I work when I choose to. That is the end vision of me and my husband. He has flown us to the location that we are staying because we have the ability to do that. But in doing all of that, I don't want people to just get into this quote unquote lofty vision without doing the first step of the CARE method, which is careful consideration, which, ma'am, I had to look internally for myself and say, how you going to be on the beach, ma'am, but you still are tiptoeing around paying these student loans? Come on, somebody. So right now, and being fully transparent, we are on a serious debt payoff plan. And come 2021, debt is not going to know our name. So it's fine. We're good. But it took careful consideration, some dedication also towards it to put into place the things that will get us to that envision. And you're absolutely right. We went on that trip in college trying to be great to get a cookout tray and ain't nobody had no money. Like, we did not assess the cost. We did not plan it out. We knew what we wanted to do for an end destination. We had it in mind. We could taste the burger and the shake, but
ultimately you couldn't taste the burger and shake because you didn't have no money.
Because we ain't had no money and got in a car with a stranger. Lord, if my mama could hear this episode, she would be like, now, ma'am, why were you in a car with these strangers? Right. Just taking any old random vehicle to get where you're trying to go. And I feel like in marriage, we do that too. We look at what other people are doing and we're like, oh, okay, they're doing that. We're gonna go ahead and try that. Oh, Will and Jada doing that. Oh, we're gonna try that. Or this person over here. You have to take the time, the two of you get together and figure out what your foundation is for your relationship. And I hope that in listening to the CARE method that people can start to see and start to think about, okay, this is my end goal. Now, what do I have to carefully consider to get there? What foundational things do I have to look at that I might have to dig up? What generational curses or things that I might have to eliminate from my relationship before it affects us? What structure, reinforcing that structure, what rules, what boundaries, what things do I have to put in place for my marriage to be healthy and strong? And how can I engage in trust? Really walk this thing out with my partner, with my spouse, so that we can really have a marriage that thrives. That's the heart behind the CARE method. And if I can be transparent and sharing my story and encourage just one person, it's worth it. Period. It's worth it. So, Jen, what you got? Jen is just like, woo, that was a lot.
No, I'm just over here absorbing and saying amen in my head, being your amen corner. Because
I mean, the amen corner.
No, I mean, that all spoke to me. And even, envisioning this bridge, with you being an engineer, and basically telling us how to engineer the marriage that we desire, or that God desires for us.
Mm-hmm.
And one of you recited my favorite verse, Jeremiah 29:11.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's my absolute favorite, because God has plans for us, and those plans are not
Absolutely.
to ruin us, but to ultimately make sure that we end up where he wants us to be. And that's not the
Exactly.
Bible verse, y'all. That's paraphrasing. So don't
That's
go
the
to your
Jennifer Brantley. It's in the book of Brantley, chapter 9. It is fine. Look, y'all will find it. But I agree with you. It has been a foundational verse for me because oftentimes in careers as entrepreneurs, I know you can relate just with more than a missus, with Finding Me Mobile. You're an attorney by trade and you have the podcast Discarded. I think you can understand having a plan and wanting to put a plan together. But I think having that foundational verse just allows our steps to be ordered.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds us that even though we might not be able to see 10 steps ahead, that at the end we win.
Yes.
At the end, there is an end destination that will be bigger than maybe we even can imagine right here in this position. And I think it is so encouraging to even think about that in your marriage, because you can imagine right now today, Jennifer, you and we can sit here, and I already told you what my lofty vision was of this beach and this adult drink and this pineapple. But what if the end goal that he has in mind for us is bigger than that?
Yep. Bigger.
And it is. And that's the part that should get you excited. Like, if you can just take steps to strengthen your marriage in the direction of the vision that you have, what's behind that vision? What's the more? And I love that with more than a missus. What's the more? There's more to this vision. There's more to this plan. And I think it starts again by working on yourself, the individual, and showing up for yourself so that you can show up for your marriage. And I absolutely loved doing that series that broke down the care method and just kind of sharing that story, because I wanted to pump some people up. Like, I don't know about you, Jen, but like Hearts and Stripes podcast started off of the heart of me seeing a lot of my friends and people that we served with their marriages failing. Like failing. Like I can't Google nothing for y'all to work this out. Nothing. So I was really discouraged with the lack of resources that were there when it came to supporting military marriage. I feel like since the creation of this podcast, it has gone from the heart of I'm trying to build a resource so less people are divorcing and separating, to now I'm fired up about it. I'm trying to bring marriage back in style. I don't know about y'all, but it has gone from being birthed from a place of defeat and trying to help that defeated dark side to no, this podcast is going to speak life. It's going to get people excited about being married. And I think there is so much power in our marriage relationships. And I always like to say our marriages are in place to, yes, bless the people that are in the relationship, but how much more so do we bless people in the overflow of our relationship that they get to walk in? I'm just thinking about like the plans that my husband and I have been like talking about, right? And with getting debt free, we're talking about buying land and all this stuff. And my husband was like, so who can we bless? Who can we bless first? And I was like, oh, my niece. Now, hold on, John, don't call me. We're not there yet. But
you said it.
Like, I was like, yeah, my niece. And I would love to have a property on our land that is like, they call it like granny pods or whatever. But it's just like a smaller dwelling to where as our parents get older, they can live somewhere rent free. If we need to get someone to come in, like a home health aide, when they're really getting up in age, it's enough space to sustain that. They're close enough to us to where we can truly spend that quality time. And we're just sitting here thinking, now that's what's happening because we were intentional about how we are operating in our marriage. And we thinking about all these other people that are going to be able to live in the blessing of the overflow of a healthy relationship. That's what Hearts and Stripes is all about. That's what I want y'all to get out of Hearts and Stripes. And I'm so excited for season 2. I have long seasons. It's just going to be the whole year, y'all. So y'all just going to have to strap in. But season 2, which will drop in December, the beginning of December, we're going to start rolling out season 2. And I'm so excited about it. Jennifer, thank you for recapping these awesome moments of season 1 for Hearts and Stripes. If you have any closing thoughts, any advice that you just want to share with our military married couples, just go ahead, share some of that wisdom.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blessing to rehash season 1 and just get some reminders myself. And to everyone out there, I think we just have to remember that marriage is work. It takes effort. But so long as, if you're a believer, if you're Christian, if you're walking in the path that God has set before you, if you're complying with his word, you will have the correct blueprint. You will know which way to go. And just be super intentional again about how you interact with each other, how we love each other. And let me not say you, let me say we, because I'm talking to self as well. I never want people to feel as though I'm preaching at them because we're all in the same position. But just know that it does take effort. It does take work. Things won't always come easy, even in terms of yourself and finding out what your purpose is and what role you're meant to fulfill generally, and then also in your role as a spouse. And just roll with that. Know that there will be down moments where you don't feel as though you're performing up to standards that you may have set for yourself. And that's okay. That's okay. So long as you come back and reflect, okay, how do I get to where I need to be? Am I projecting a negative attitude onto my marriage because I'm not satisfied with where I am?
Right.
And what I have been able to obtain, and am I foisting that on my partner, that unhappiness on my partner, when really the buck stops with me because I haven't, done maybe what I needed to do to find that happiness within myself. So
absolutely. That is awesome. Jennifer, I thank you again for being a gracious co-host. It has been fun. I've enjoyed this girl talk time. I hope our listeners do as well. And just to remind everyone, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on the Discarded Podcast. Make sure you are following Jennifer, her blog, More Than a Missus. Go ahead, check out Find Me mobile app and stay in the loop with another spouse who is more than a missus, come through, more than just a spouse. She is a champion and an advocate for our community and is doing some amazing things. So thank you, Jennifer, again for supporting Hearts and Stripes and just being here to chat with us.
And thank you so much for having me.
Wow, guys, and just like that, season 1 is a wrap. We are done. This has been an amazing year on Hearts and Stripes podcast. Thank you so much to everyone who has been a faithful listener. Please go ahead and share this message as we continue to prepare for next year, a new season of Strengthening Military Marriages. I am excited that I will have the opportunity to talk to some couples who truly inspire me, to get some more great advice out there to equip each and every one of us to continue to thrive in our military marriages, and to share some resources that I feel like we just need to take advantage of, even if we aren't quote unquote struggling in our marriage right now. The objective is not for normal. That's what average people do. We are above average. We are going for thriving. We are trying to build legacies, and we are trying to change the world one relationship at a time. Like y'all know, I'm here to bring marriage back in style, and that is what season 2 is going to be all about. We will have some inspirational people who have done the work, who have built those legacies, built strong relationships, and we get to get a glimpse into some of the work that went into it. You heard Jennifer talking there at the end. Marriage takes work. And on that note, I have to let y'all know a special announcement as well. We are doing an encore presentation of Work for Wealth. Y'all have been in my DMs saying how much you enjoyed the original webinar, and we're coming back. We're doing an encore so that people can be experiencing that masterclass all about mobile careers for military spouses. We're going to talk about building wealth. And spoiler alert, we're talking about working for wealth. Well, wealth for us is well-being. So we're working for well-being, and I'll let you know how all of that benefits your marriage and allows you to thrive individually and collectively in your relationship. So mark your calendar. We will do the encore presentation for Work for Wealth on November the 29th. That'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That's a Sunday. So you should be relaxing and be prepared to hop into that webinar. You'll see a link in the show notes, but you're not going to want to miss this encore presentation of Work for Wealth webinar on the 29th. And then the next day, we will drop Season 2's first episode of Hearts and Stripes podcast. I won't tell you who it is, but it's going to be a super special episode for me and for you as you just join in, listen, catch all these gems that'll be coming for Season 2. I'm excited and I can't wait to continue this journey with you. Everybody out there, I hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving season. We're going to continue this attitude of gratitude moving forward. Celebrate with your family. Keep those that you love close. And thank you so much for joining me for Season 1 of Hearts and Stripes podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. This is Hearts and Stripes. We are the few, the proud, that aim high and are forged by love. Always ready, always there. We are Mill Marriage Strong.